You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian and Andrew the Rock Lobster GIOVINAZZI from OptionPit.com. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back. We have commenced the broadcast year here on the network. Yes, we are back to ring in and kick off the new year. That is the extremely futuristic sounding 2022. Let's all just keep our fingers crossed that this year is nowhere near what we saw from a madness perspective of 2021 or indeed 2020. And by this point last year, in a couple of days, we had already had insurrection, and then the meme stock kicked off right after that. And it was kind of off to the races by the second week of January. Let's hope we get a bit of a respite. We can still do volume, still do numbers in the market. That, of course, will be great. In fact, we're seeing some crazy things out of Tesla today. But from a societal perspective, I think we can all use a little bit of a respite from the madness out there. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com. As well as, of course, from the ever-exciting Options Insider Radio Network. If you're new for the beginning of the year, welcome. You missed 15. By the way, yes, this January, this episode, this month, indeed, this entire year marks our 15-year celebration, 15th anniversary. Back 15, over that, because I was doing test stuff earlier than that back in 2006. So back when there really was no iPhone, you had to have an RSS reader to get it. These podcast things were pretty niche, pretty nascent. And everyone was out there. If they were doing a podcast, they were talking about technology and programming and coding, because that's the only people who could get them, people who were pretty tech savvy. And I thought, someone should be talking about options on these things. People have asked us many times, were we the first financial podcast? I don't have any knowledge of that. Maybe. I don't think so. I'm sure someone out there somewhere had to talk about financial planning or stocks or something before we launched our network. So I don't claim that crown. But we were indeed the first by a country mile to talk about these here listed options in the world of podcasting. Of course, a few months later, the iPhone launched and everyone started paying attention to this here podcast thing. But yeah, 15 years. It's hard to believe when you say it out loud like that. So yeah, an impressive thing. We're going to have some fun celebrations and other things throughout the year, including this month of January. So look forward to that. It should be fun. And also, I'm looking forward to kicking off our new year here on the show. We'll still do our Guess That 80s Wrestler. Going to do it, I think, a little bit differently. This is going to be kind of fun. Let me first welcome on my contestants who are going to play Name That 80s Wrestler with me. First, let's go out to the quiet and sleepy, tranquil hamlet known as Maine. I threw a curveball in there. We are joined by the rockingest of lobsters, who I do believe is recovering from his 74th bout with COVID. Mr. Rock Lobster, A, Mr. Andrew GIOVINAZZI. A, welcome back to the program. B, how are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling better. I never felt that bad, just really stuffy. So I just hope it doesn't become like a worse head cold than it is. So
glad to hear.
Okay, yeah, but I'm okay. But of course, the listeners can hear everything now that I have this shiny microphone that hears every nook and cranny, noise
yes.
and squeak in the house.
Yes.
I believe
We are now regretting our upgrading of you to higher quality audio. And you know who has eschewed higher quality audio because he's on the mobile office today? He is Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management. Uncle Mike, welcome back to the program for the new year to you as well, sir.
I am here.
There he is, the mobile audience there. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do a new wrinkle for our Name That 80s Wrestler show. I expected the meatball on the first episode, so it's gonna be a little bit harder with the Rock Lobster, I think, because this is not exactly his wheelhouse. But we're gonna try anyway, because it seems like in the past, especially for today's one, I want to kick off the new year with a good one, with a quality one, with a name everyone knows. But if I do that, then it becomes essentially who I pick first is pretty much going to get the winner. So this one is going to be so obvious. Once you hear it, even if you don't know it, you should probably know it once you hear the style of music that it is. And so I will allow you to kind of play a bit of we're going to do a little bit of a Jeopardy buzz-in kind of thing. So I'm going to start playing the music. And then once you guys know who it is, either of you, and Mr. Rock Lobster, let's hope it's you, try to buzz in. This is a well-known person, so you may know this person. Just buzz in and shout the answer. And if you're right, you win. So no more me choosing. That's why we're going to mix things up here for 2022. All right, without further ado, let's do it. Can you name that 80s wrestler for our first edition of 2022?
Buzz, I got it.
Who could it possibly be, Uncle Mike?
Rowdy Piper.
Yes. Mr. Rock Lobster, I'm sorry. I thought you might have a chance with that one, but it's not exactly your Hogan or your Piper, but at least the music is pretty easy. Yes, the legendary heel turned face turned whatever, Piper's Pit. He had the skirt. You all know him. He ate bubble gum and kicked ass, and he was all out of gum. Probably his best line ever in the movie They Live. Yes, Rowdy Piper is how we're kicking off. I couldn't select someone for that one. It's just way too easy. So yes, Rowdy Piper is our name as we kick off the new year with a new trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading. By the way, it's a new year in there, so we have obviously updated everything for the new year, including new access codes for the Mixlr Live server. So if you're in the secret club, make sure you should have received, you did receive an email telling you what that new access code is. So make sure you're using that if you are indeed joining us live or if you plan to join us live here throughout the week here. And coming in to today's show, we're seeing green mostly on the screen to kick off the year here. You know, it wouldn't be a year in the wake of 2021 if we didn't have some decent green on the screen. Today, slightly green, I think you can call it. S&P actually is the Goldilocks today, only up close to 0.25%. NASDAQ starting to feel its oats now, up 0.75%. And the Dow actually ticking up now as well, up to almost 0.25% to the upside as well. It means when we kicked off the show, VIX was hovering at about a 17.25. So we're actually back up about 1/3 of a point, getting some of that weekend back in out there. We'll see how long it remains above the 17 handle today. A VVIX at about a 107. That's down 10 points from our last show, not quite below the 100 level. See if we can get there sometime soon. Remember, we only did that really once last year. VXX coming to showtime was at about an 18.10. That puts it down about 1/3 of a point from where it was on our last show. UVXY hovering at the 12 handle. That's down about a little over 1/3 of a point from this time last week. And VolQ, when we kicked off the show, was at an 18.10 as well. So VolQ and VXX were at the same level when we kicked off the show. That was up about 1/3 of a point out there as well. So a lot to unpack. Oh, and by the way, let me say congratulations to all of you Tesla traders out there, because you're done. You had your year on day one. Tesla was up at 1.10%. Let's see where it is out there right now. Let's see. Where are we there? Oh, it's up 11.33% now. So you had a great year's worth of gains on day one. So yeah, you could pack it in and come check in with us again at the beginning of next year and see what you plan to do, because you got your more than a year's worth of gains on day one on delivery numbers that were blowing the doors off. So all of you out there in the Tesla audience, congrats to you. You are done. We'll see you at the beginning of next year. But everyone else, let's go around the horn. Let's start with our victor in today's wrestling challenge, Mr. Uncle Mike. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what is lighting up your tape on this decidedly, once again, Uncle Mike start to the new year?
Yeah, it always goes up, doesn't it? Is there ever anything different?
At this point, it doesn't seem like it.
It sure doesn't. No, I mean, looking at today, what I'm seeing on it is that we started off a lot faster. Because if you look at the futures last night, we were up 20 points in the SPOOs. And so when that happens, you always kind of wonder what's driving it up on the end of the New Year's weekend going into the year. And I don't know if it was just, maybe it was anticipation for the Tesla numbers, who knows? But right now, it still looks like with us trimming back a little bit from the highs of the day, and by the day, referring to starting last night at 5 o'clock, we're still not moving a lot. Now, what is lighting up my tape is we are selling off in the 10-year note. I think that's something that needs to be noted, no pun intended. But we have that happening right now, and we have the sell-off like we are. It's something to make me think that we're taking money out of the safer securities, if you will, and it's going to go somewhere. But what I'm seeing right now is that with the sell-off we're having in the 10-year note, we're not having a correlated buy in the S&P at this point. So that is something that's making me scratch my head. Maybe the money's not there yet. Maybe everyone just placing their sell orders and waiting to put in the buy orders. Who knows? Or maybe everyone's just buying Tesla. The sell-off in the 10-year note because everyone's buying Tesla. But that's something that's definitely lighting up my tape at this point in time. The other thing of note right now is that it is the first day of the year, and this is kind of a key day. It's a very much a key day. What I'm looking at right now is that whatever we closed at on Friday, that's going to be kind of my benchmark, meaning that if we go below that number, at least for me in the aggressive strategy, I have to stay very low delta, if you will, or very minimal, if any, exposure to the market should we go below that. So it's kind of one of those things to where I'm not going to take a lot of action for probably another couple days, just seeing how the open of the year pans out. And I'm in wait and see mode a little bit right now because we're up, yes, which is good. It's nice. It's wonderful. It's lovely. But I need a little bit of confirmation before I start taking action, especially at this point in the year.
All right, Uncle Mike, waiting for confirmation. Let's go out to the Rock Lobster, who's waiting for his latest COVID fog to go away. In the meantime, maybe we can talk to Volman. Maybe he's more level-headed. Mr. Volman, sir, what is on your radar as we kick off this new year, sir?
Volman is always more level-headed, except when he's surfing a vol wave. Then
so
he's,
if Andrew wears the glasses, is Volman is like reverse Clark Kent? He takes the glasses off, and then he becomes.
Correct.
So Volman is a superhero, right?
I think Volman is the superhero. I'm just a mild-mannered, mild-mannered
Rock Lobster.
Yes, a mild-mannered Rock Lobster, a guest host on this program. Well, when you look at I guess so. Here's another question: if you had to guess what realized vol was for the S&P 500 in the month of December, would you guess above 16 or below 16 for the 30 days? I would put that to you, Mr. Longo, and maybe Mr. TOSAW if he can hands free and talk at the same time.
I was dealing with our chat.
I'll go with above 16. That would be my guess.
All right, I'll let TOSAW go for it. I always guess. I'll let TOSAW guess.
Yeah, TOSAW saying above 16.
I'll go with above 16. That would be my guess.
Yes, that's a good guess. That we're actually 1766, which for the month of December historically, except for December 2018, I think that's a pretty big number. Like 1% a day, like open to close. So, normally you get so much action. You get the overnight, but you had continuation during the day. So there's pretty volatile month, I think, for SPX. So my question, what made it volatile? All that COVID stuff. So if this Omicron, people calm down and, you see all the news, like now they're letting people work again, even if they're COVID positive, but they're vaccinated, like it's all crazy. But like if they're getting to that point, if there's, let's just say if there's market acceptance of this is the new normal, then, what does that mean for vol? Because I still believe we're in the COVID vol event. It has not totally gone away. And I won't believe that till VIX trades 12 again. So, and we're still 5 full handles away. So that is a big thing. I guess we have the Fed coming on the 21st of this month, that Wednesday, Thursday. And right now, TOSAW was talking about the bonds, and it looks like they are expecting rates to go up a little bit. So, Euro's tanking a little bit, treasuries are tanking a little bit, rates going up a little bit. So from a vol point of view, even in the face of rising rates, tech stocks are going up and oil's going up. I guess OPEC is going to tell us something too about how much they're going to charge everybody for their lovely barrels of oil. So you got all this stuff going on. And, one thing this year is the market tends to do what everybody thinks it's not going to do, right? So everybody's like, oh, it's overbought. Oh, it's going to crash. Oh, this, it's like, it's not sustainable. I don't know. I actually, I'm taking the opposite view of that. That I think people are, if they get used to the COVID thing, I think vol could come in a little bit. They know what the current administration is. I don't think there's any surprises anymore as far as what to expect from it, what their agenda is, what they're trying to do. I think that's, it's a year in, so everybody's got an idea. And, all those things do not promote higher vol. So we'll see what happens. There's always the radical unknown. You got, a month ago or 2 months ago, everybody's worried about Evergrande. And basically the Chinese are announcing, they let them go bankrupt or default or something like that. And they got information for everybody. Not a ripple in stocks, nothing. So you hear this stuff, the market goes up, and vol on a Monday loses the entire weekend markup from vol and goes down. So Volman says all those are very bearish vol, very bearish VIX right now. So it doesn't mean, I don't think anybody's running and selling the juice in any big way yet, but I mean, that's what it is. So you got to see what it is. And I don't discount it. And it wouldn't surprise me. My vol prediction on the crystal ball looks like it's going to be incredibly wrong this month. If we come in and touch a 15, I will laugh. I will be happy, but I will laugh because it's certainly something I didn't expect. But total shrug off of everything is on the first day of the year.
Why would that surprise you? They've shrugged off everything for the better part of 2 years now, sir. So one more day shrug. Look, I mean, they're even converting you to the dark side. The diehard cynic that you are suddenly saying maybe it isn't super overbought anymore. So look, they're even luring you to the dark side, which perhaps that is the inflection point we've all been waiting for. Now is the time to short signal. Everything. Get the hell out of Dodge. When the rock lobster is suddenly sounding optimistic, or at the least beaten down to stubborn submission. Either way, perhaps that is the signal to sell it all out there, listeners. Let's get on out to see what's going on today in this crazy day. Not a lot of craziness on the vol tape. Less than 250,000 contracts, 243,000 contracts on the VIX tape right now. The ADV, again, also down about 100,000 contracts from where it was just a week and change ago. It was, I think, around 729 is where it topped out, and it's 631 right now, so down almost exactly 100,000 contracts on that. So quite a bit of downside probably still to go in that ADV for VIX. We'll see, unless things start popping off. If we get a repeat of last January, which God hope we don't. If we get a repeat of last January, at least from a craziness perspective, we could see VIX hitting all sorts of crazy new ADV levels. Remember, last year, this time, I said we're at about a 17 and change coming into today's show. We were 10 handles north of that last year. We closed there at about a 27, and we hit the high for the year, around 37 and a quarter, pretty close to it, right at the end of January. So January was kind of the apex for crazy for the year last year. So again, let's hope we don't revisit anything along those lines. SPY doing some numbers, though. 2.73 million contracts on the tape right now. The ADV about 5.3 million. So right around half of its ADV, a little bit north of that out there right now. The S also doing decent paper right now, 901,000 contracts. That's pretty decent for the S. The ADV right around 1.55 million, and small caps, at least through the IWM lens, looking all right today, 420,000, at least from a volume perspective. The ADV is back down below a million, down to 902,000. That's still a lot. The ADV a month and change ago was 533,000. So this would have been a rock'em sock'em robots day a month and change ago. Now it's not even half of the ADV, but we'll see as those numbers start to merge together a little bit where we shake out. Speaking of shaking out, let's see where we shake out on this first trading day of the year from a single name perspective. What's rocking and rolling out there in the single names? I think you can probably guess the number one big dog today. I'm just throwing it out there. Bit of a teaser, bit of a spoiler. Number 10 cost you 215,000 contracts to break into our top 10 most active today. That gets you to the Amazonians. Number 9, we've got good old Softy, 247,000. Number 8, Lucid, 272,000. Number 7, Bank of America. I haven't seen them around in these parts in a while, but back again today, 275,000 contracts. Number 6 is Neo, 363,000. They've never really left the top 10 for the last 6 months. NVIDIA, same deal. Number 5, 407,000 contracts. Number 4, AMD, another perennial top 10er, 447,000 contracts. Number 3, it's good old Ford, popping over the 21 handle, 2164, up about a little over 4% today. So Ford back on the rampage, good for 606,000 contracts on the tape right now. Number 2, yes, I said number 2, starting the year in the number 2 seat is Apple. 1.08 million. What could possibly usurp the king? What has come for the crown once again? Yeah, it's Tesla. Like I said, if you're trading Tesla, if you got the stock, you're good. You had your 10% for the year, 11% now. You're good. Sell in Jan and go away. Don't we all have that saying? You know, sell on Jan, first day of trading in January and go away. You've beaten index return for most standard years. Usually it's around 7 to 8%. You beat that in the first day in Tesla. You're good. Go hang out on the beach for the rest of the year. We'll see you. Well, we won't hold it against you. 1.14 million contracts on the tape out there in Tesla right now. Still a little light on the earnings front. We've got some new ones coming this week. Well, we got our favorites, the Walgreens Boots Alliance on Thursday, as well as Bed, Bath, and Beyond. What will win this time? Will it be the Bed, the Bath, or the Beyond? We have to wait till Thursday to find out. What are they pricing in right now? Bed Bath & Beyond, they're on the 6th. They're pricing in $14.58. That's where their stock was trading. They're pricing in from a straddle perspective, almost $3, $2.92. In the past, they've moved $2.12. So a little bit of extra juice out there in the BBBY. Remember, a little over a year ago, we had that death poll out there. We put it out to you on the Twitters. We said, hey, which of these names is going to go the way of the dodo first? Bed Bath & Beyond or GameStop? Little did we know, in a few short months after we posted that poll, not even, probably a few short weeks, GameStop would become the darling of the meme crowd and kick off an entirely new wave of trading. So if we had put that in our poll, you would have said we were insane, and probably rightfully so. So yes, what a difference a year and change makes. Also, Walgreens Boots Alliance. I think that alliance may be coming to an end. One of my favorite company names of all time, the Boots Alliance. I just love that name. They're also on the 6th before the bell. 52.16 is where they were trading. By the way, hotly updated earnings move results, and earnings season reports for you guys. Hot off the presses from our friends over there at ORATS. You know where to find them, theoptionsinsider.com. And because we like you folks, all completely free. 52.16 was where Walgreens Boots Alliance was trading. Easy for me to say. Well, let's see. They're pricing in $2.32. In the past, they moved $3.08. So clipping some of the wings of that vol pretty aggressively, actually. That's kind of back to an old school earnings announcement. We still have last season kind of up there. We're still waiting for the new season to kick off before we can update those numbers. You know where we came through at the end of last season, 99%. And we're hanging out waiting for some new earnings trades, buying calendars, selling calendars, buying straddles and selling straddles. All that's going to be kicking off pretty soon when we kick off the new earnings cycle out there. Speaking of kicking things off, it's that time, listeners. It is time to kick off the new year with a new edition of the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's do it. It is time to get weird. It is time to get wild. It is time to get whimsical. It is time for the odd block. By the way, if you're wondering, where is the updated final OCC numbers for the year that was 2022? Well, we're waiting for them as well. We have them in our hot little hands right now via special edition from our friends over there at OCC. But they're delaying for whatever reason, so I'm sure we'll get them the second the show is over. Knowing them, it'll be just a case of bad timing out there. So we'll probably have them to break down on our next episode of the option block. But it's looking like we were threatening 10 billion contracts last year. We didn't quite get there, but pretty close. I mean, we're getting close to 1 billion contracts a month now. So if that keeps up, that pace keeps up for this year, we're going to threaten 12 billion next year. So, which gets to our poll, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Our poll for the week, and our question of the week, I should say, for last week, and our new question of the week, which is really kind of a question for the year. We'll get to that in a little bit. First, let's go out to see what the wild markets are giving us on this first day of the new year. And this is a bit of a weird one, so why not kick off the year with this one? Pretty sizable and also pretty weird. Let's go out to our old friend NRG. I'm talking about this one in a little bit. This is, of course, NRG Energy out of Houston, ticker symbol, appropriately enough, NRG. Trading right now, a little bit of red on the screen, off about 1/4 point, 42.82 or so. Let's see. Today, today they're down. On the year, a bit of a different story. They had a decent year, but not quite the banger year that you might have expected. A year ago, it was trading 36.30, and then it shot up in all the Jan madness into February. Through February, it hit 43.04, then sold off again February 26th, back down to 36.5. Then rallied again in February into March. On March 15th, it hit 43.5. Then it sold off hard again by May and into beginning of June. It got down to 32 again, so got clipped pretty aggressively. And that was about the low for the year, actually 31.94, right on June 1st. Then it started rallying from there, and it topped out for the year right around 46.10 on September 2nd. Then it started selling off again back down to November 9th. It hit its recent low of about 34.89. Bounced around there for a while before starting to rally again at the beginning of December. It hit 35.60 beginning of December, and then kind of has been looking up from there ever since, hitting a high of 43.08 recently. That was on the end of the year. Now today, a little bit down from that 42.82. So kind of been tracking what we're seeing with energy. It's up again, it's down again, it's up again, it's down again. Right now, it's up again. And let's see what our Eye of Sauron found out here. Pretty sizable print, and also pretty long term. People always ask us, what's a good long-term way to express a bullish opinion in crude or in energy-related names? And our friend here decided this is the way he wanted to do it. He came out and loaded up on nearly 16,900 of the Jan doubles, but not Jan of 2022, not even Jan of 2023. He said, nay, I'm going out a whopping 2 years, Jan of 2024 double calls, a.k.a. the 55s. What did he pay for that lofty privilege of going out 2 years, listeners? He paid $3.15. He actually got a deal. They were offered at $3.20, so he got a nickel off for his 2-year extravaganza. If you're wondering, it's only about a 31 vol. We've seen far more astronomical vol numbers than that out there. The stock was a little bit lower, 42 and about 42.60 or so. Obviously, there are earnings between now and Jan of 2024. The most recent one is going to be out at the end of February. So he's bought himself many earnings cycles, many OPEX announcements. And again, he needs this thing to move. His 55 strike is where he's hanging out. And he paid $3.15 on top of that. So he needs this thing to get up to 58.15. Now, we all know how these things work. If it starts shooting up, it'll look all right before that level. But again, he's out pretty far. So his delta on these is pretty low. Got some Vega juice on these, but it's not exactly going to be a high gamma situation out here. So intriguing, Mr. Rock Lobster. I know you like yourself some energy names. What are your thoughts on this play, though, going out pretty far and pretty far out of the money here in NRG? Is this your preferred vector to get long-term bullish on energy, sir?
Let me see. Don't we usually call this NERG? The stock, we call it NERG.
I have never called it that, but you can call that if you like.
No, NERG. I don't know. It just makes it's so many consonants. Like you get so many consonants. How do you pronounce anything with all these consonants?
At least it goes well with energy. I think I can see what they're going for with that.
I guess so. It gives you like kind of a little push, a little pump. Now, long term out of the money. Okay, so one problem with buying out of the money calls is you don't get the divvy. So there's you foregoing $1.28 dividends, something like that. No, a little more. $60, $1.30, about $1.35, $1.36 in dividends. Also, I mean, okay, you're buying time. 2020. That's Jan 2022 or Jan 2024. I couldn't quite see it from the notes.
24. The big 24 is your first indication.
Wow. Oh, okay. The big 20. I'm gonna have to tell Jakrati how to write these things up properly to get those dates on there right. But I will. So 2024. You're right. I'm looking at. Oh my word, that's a big trade. I just, unless, I'll put it this way, unless NRG is riding some kind of green energy superhighway, like, is this stock really going to go have a 25% rally in 2 years? I'm trying not to be myopic here, but I think that's a hard road for an energy company to take. 25% in 2 years. And so you got all 22 and all 2023. I mean, I guess it has a shot, right? It has a shot. But over the last year, it's basically went from 40 low of 38 to basically a high of 45. Over the last 2 years, low of 20 with a high of 44. So something would have to radically change in this business for it to generate, even in 2 years, that kind of return, I would say. So this is I'm not going to say it's a bridge too far. It's just a bridge that's a long, long way away. Like, it's kind of like, okay, you got to cross the Golden Gate Bridge, but you got to do it walking on your hands. I'm not going to say you can't do it. It's just going to take a long time. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, I don't think any of us or either of us are super jazzed about these. What do you think? You like these NRG? Do you like doing long-term out-of-the-money calls on some of these names? Again, it's not my favorite play, but intriguing stuff there. If I do longer term, it tends to be more of a meteor kind of stock substitution type play, but intriguing things here. This guy needs quite a pop in NRG to make this thing work, but hey, crazier things have happened. I'd say we'll come back to this one, but it's hard to talk about 2 years in the future, given how insane the world is right now. But we'll put it in our longer term to be watched catalog. How about that? As we keep on rolling, let's go back out. It wouldn't be a new year without some newcomers adding to the ranks out here and joining the ranks for 2022. And today we welcome aboard Iveric Bio Inc., ticker symbol ISEE. ISEE. This is a biotech out there, listeners, trading right now $16.10. What are they up to today? Off about 3.75% today. On the year, they had a decent year, though, because a year ago they were trading $6.90. So they had a nice pop, up a little over 9 handles on the year, listeners. They sold off to, they sold off to a low of about little under $5, $4.96. That was in February of last year. So while the rest of the world was exploding north, ISEE was trending lower from about $7 down to a little bit shy of $5. Then they kind of hung out there for most of the first half of the year until June. They were still in the 5 handle in June. Then they popped up, as biotechs are wont to do. They popped from 586 up to 961 on July 7th. And then they hung out in that little $9 to $10 range. And then, they sold off again to about 869 on September 9th. Then they had a really sharp pop. On September 9th, they went from 869, and by September, 16th, so about a week later, they were trading 1636. So as biotechs are wont to do, it pretty much doubled in the span of a week, and then topped out for the year at 1932 on November 4th, before giving a lot of that back up, sold off back down to 1383 on December 6th, before beginning yet another upswing up to where it is right now, 1610, even though it's taken a bit of a break out there today. So an intriguing year, an intriguing chart for a biotech, kind of what you expect, a whole heck of a lot of nothing, and then bam, off to the races. I'm not sure what type of biotech this is, what they do, but either way, someone really liked it back in the September timeframe out there. So let's see what our Eye of Sauron found on this newcomer to the odd block today, listeners. We've got, I said it's trading 1610 right now. We got another person going a little bit longer term, not quite as far as our friend from NRG. He's only going out to June, this person, and also going to the upside. So this person is expecting not just a repeat of the 52-week high, but a lot more. They bought the 5,000 of the June 22 halves. Yes, this is also why our Eye of Sauron flagged this one. This also gets our reward, our first award for the year for craptacular market, because the market on these calls, I get it, ISEE, not exactly a big player out there. The market for these, Mr. Rock Lobster, for these June 22 half calls was no bid at $1.95. They wouldn't even pay a nickel for these things. They said, no bid, forget it. If you give them to us, you give them to us for free. So literally a $2 wide market. No, they don't even put a nickel up there. Give the guy something. No, they don't even put a nickel. So these things ended up printing at 95 cents, almost exactly in the midpoint there. So it's kind of a pick'em as to what the hell they actually did with these stupid things. First off, nothing ever really is no bid unless it's right before expiration, listeners, right? So there always is going to be a bid for something out there. So maybe see no bid, it's probably a wonky quote that's being disseminated. So they ended up printing at a 61 vol. The stock was a little bit lower, $15.95. And the next earnings are not until March 2nd. So they got a little ways for this. So he needs some upside to run for this and his stock to run for him to really have these calls pay off. Mr. Rock Lobster, what do you think of our award for our first craptacular market of the year? This is a pretty bad one. And then B, what do you think of these calls? And then C, what the hell do you think they did? You think they bought them and they sold them?
You know what? This is one I like. Craptastic market. Well, there's a 95 bid for all you want to sell right now. So my guess is actually that this paper is a tough one. I think they want to buy them. You got 75 cents. There's like a 75 bid for all you want to sell right now. It's like I feel like this is one of those where the trade somehow was just like matched. Yeah, 5,000 went up 95 cents. Somebody wanted to buy them, and then the broker found a seller who probably was a size owner of the stock, and the calls went up. So as far as I can see, there's still a 95 bid. I'm going to assume that paper drove the buy, and they're looking to buy them back, maybe. And it is a biotech, so buying upside calls in a biotech, as you well know, is a whole lot different than buying upside calls in an energy company. So the stock could be $22 tomorrow, just depending on what they have. But I just really, to be honest, I think you just added this because you just want to say IC for a stock all the time.
That is fun.
IC is trading.
The craptacular market is also pretty fun. So there's a lot of things going for it. Whenever I see no bid, no bid at $2, it just makes me laugh. And the old market maker in me kind of dies a little bit. So that's always fun. Yes, we won't even pay a nickel for these garbage calls. How dare you? You give them to me for free or nothing. That's a good one. We'll come back to this one. These WTF calls in ISEE. Let's roll it out here with another newcomer to the odd block. So you get some newcomers joining us. This is Sleep Number Corp. You've seen them with their commercials. You dial in your sleep number and you get some weird number on your mattress, and it's warm or cold or hot or soft, or whatever the heck you want to dial in. I don't have one, so I don't know exactly, but it's something along those lines. Trading today, or first off, the ticker symbol SNBR, Sunbur. Trading today, 77.56, up nearly $1, or about 1.25%. What's the year been like for Sleep Number? Let's find out. A year ago, it was trading a little bit higher, 79.36. So it's actually been a whole heck of a lot of nothing. They're off 2.25% on the year. But that wasn't always the case. They had a rock'em sock'em beginning of the year. Looks like they got caught up in some of this meme madness because they rallied from 79.36 all the way. By March 15th, they were trading 151.44. So they pretty much doubled. And then they kind of gave it all back. By May 20th, they were trading 101 again. And it's pretty much ever since that March 15th date, it's been kind of it was a pretty sharp decline right away through April. Then after that, it's kind of a long, slow slog through the end of the year to pretty much end the year to slightly down. So they gave it all back through the latter 2/3 of the year, pretty much. So unlike the rest of the market, which had a rock'em sock'em year, this name not looking so good out there. So apparently not a lot of love for Sleep Numbers out there. All right, let's go on out. Let's see what our Eye of Sauron found out here. It looks like Mr. Rock Lobster. Someone is saying the sell-off is a wee bit overdone this far and no farther for Sleep Number. And they are drawing the line this time at the 70 strike. Because someone came in and sold 4,369 of the Jan 70 puts, regular Jan this time, not Jan 2024 or anything crazy. They crushed through the bid. The bid was 45 cents. They said, yeah, we're good. We'll sell them at 41. So through the bid, obviously not the most liquid of names, so they probably had to dig a little bit to get all that liquidity. They sold, like I said, nearly 4,500 of these. The IV was about 47%. And the stock, when these went up, let's see, where was it? I had it, but it looks like it got deleted off here. But it was, I don't think the stock has moved that much out there. That's up about $1 today. I think the stock was a little bit lower when these puts went up. So intriguing stuff, Mr. Rock Lobster. Someone says, you know what? This drubbing here in Sleep Number is overdone. I'm going to buy the stock back below the 52-week low, which was around 72 3/4. And they're getting paid a whopping 41 cents or a 47 vol to do it. What say you for these, sir?
Do we have that? Is this our first line in the sand put for 2022?
It is. We couldn't go a session this year without having some sort of line in the sand put. That was the trade du jour last year, sir.
I know. And a little birdie told me that TOSAW might be talking some a line in the sand.
I love when the birdies talk.
Getting the up and coming guy on Twitter. Good videos on YouTube, by the way, for TOSAW explaining stuff in a way that
he's blowing up the social medias.
Yes, he's nothing like calm delivery. Is this a bad trade? It is I would say a bolder trade than we're used to. This one actually has a little bit of yield in it, from what I can see. But what is it for? It's $160,000 in premium. Strangely enough, and I know listeners make fun of us, but it always seems to have that same ring to it, right? Right around $160,000, $150,000, just the same as your girlfriend's Ferrari. So I'm just saying, it has all the hallmark of the strategy. But aggressive. Yeah, only out to Jan. But if he gets to the 70 by the end of Jan, there are worse levels out there getting some premium to do it. Looks like we've sparked a conversation in our chat about are Sleep Numbers worth it or not. Some folks seem to like it, others are not. Someone said they're looking for a new mattress and they're marketing for a new mattress and they want to know about Sleep Number. So here we go. Sleep Number. Here we are. Just getting your word out there for you through the magic, the joy that is unusual activity. Speaking of magic and joy, it's that time, listeners. Time to kick off the new year with a new block of strategery. It is time for the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the strategy block.
All right, everybody, welcome to our first strategy block of the new year. And since the Rock Lobster already spilled the beans on what he's going to talk about, I guess we don't need to do it. We can just skip it. So that's it. Thank you. That was the strategy block. Uncle Mike, we'll see you on Thursday. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, then. On to Around the Block.
Well, since I've already got the airtime, I might as well talk. So a couple weeks ago, I had referenced The Princess Bride in one of my strategy blocks. And so today, I want to reference someone even more something even a little bit more intense, but something that, quite frankly, I think is very relevant to what we're talking about a lot on this show, and that is a line in the sand. So a lot of us watched cartoons as kids growing up. And so one that comes to my mind is when Bugs Bunny says to Yosemite Sam, "I dare you to step across this line." And Yosemite Sam goes, "Well, I'm a steppin'." And then Bugs Bunny goes again, "I dare you to step across this line." So Yosemite Sam goes, "Well, I'm a steppin'." And so if you watch the cartoon long enough, Yosemite Sam continues to step across his lines in the sand, and eventually Bugs Bunny tricks him into going off of a cliff. Well, let's relate that to trading. If you have your line in the sand that you placed, let's say that you're selling a put, and you know that, well, let's say you sold the 45 put, and you know that if the stock were to go below 50, because the stock was 55 when you sold it, let's say, if it goes below 50, that's my line in the sand, that's when I get out. Well, the market's saying, "I dare you to step across this line." And then as humans, of course, what we want to do is do exactly what Yosemite Sam did and says, "Well, I'm a steppin'." And so you just sit on it, and the stock goes to 48. And then, of course, we know how that ends. When you step across that line, it's a stupid thing to do, especially if the stock then goes to 47 and 46. That's like Bugs Bunny saying, "I dare you to step across this line." And then you keep going, and then all of a sudden the stock's at 21. And so then you fell off the cliff, just like Yosemite Sam did. And then you come back up like Yosemite Sam does and just goes, "I hate you." And that's how it works if you step across that line. So first moral of today's story is that if you have a line in the sand drawn and that's your risk management, don't step across it. It didn't end well for Yosemite Sam, and it's not going to end well for you. Now, the second part of today's strategy block is, how do you determine a line in the sand? Well, I think there's a variety of ways of which to do it, but I want to go over the line in the sand that I've had since 2007. And I've told this story on the show before, but I remember at the beginning of 2008, I guess I should say I had this line in the sand since 2008. I remember I'm like, okay, I have this new strategy that I've come up with that I like, my own rules on the simulated index concept. And so it's the first day of trading in 08. I'm doing this with my personal money. I'm working at Options Express at the time. As I was the director of education at the time, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to put all my bond stuff in now. I'm like, okay, good, I got that. And then right as I was getting ready to pull the trigger for the stocks, I'm like, you know what? S&P's down a lot today. I'm not going to put any stock exposure in today, or at least the call options in. So this way I'm just going to be in all bonds. Now I had some longer term stock holdings, of course, but for this concept, I decided to just stay out of the market. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wait until the market's positive on the year before I put anything in it. And in the option part of the simulated index concept. So I was in bonds. I was in government treasuries, and that was back in the day when they actually paid something long before I was ever selling any covered calls on them. But I was in there, and I'm thinking, okay, market's going down today. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Market continued to go down. And then, of course, everyone that studied the market long enough knows how 2008 ended. And from that point on, for my aggressive strategy, what I've decided is that my line in the sand is that I want to have very minimal exposure should the market be negative on the year. That way, if we do go down, I get out quick. Now, of course, the disadvantage to that is if we have a year like 2015 and I'm getting in, I'm getting out, I'm getting in, I'm getting out, that can become problematic. But if we have a major downturn, then I'm pretty well protected from it. Now, I've modified that a little bit since 08. I'm not quite as extreme as I was at that point. But if we're negative on the year, which is my line in the sand, it's very hard for me, based on my rules, to have a lot of exposure to this market. And that's my line in the sand. Now, you can come up with whatever line you want to come up with, whether you want to do what I do based on every quarter, every month, or if you're a day trader every day. But the importance is that you have your risk management in place and you have your line in the sand. So with that, Mark Longo, I dares you to step across this line.
Well, I'm a stepping right on into Around the Block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we do just that. We go around the panel, see what everyone's keeping an eye on until we can gather here together on Thursday. It's that time of the year, listeners. We're going to start crunching the numbers now, look back at the most popular episodes of last year, and also start looking ahead to make some predictions. In fact, that's what we have going on this week right now. Our question of the week / question of the year. You know what it is, the listeners. It's that time of the year. So we have to ask you. We just wrapped up another trading year, kicking off a new one today. So we ask you. We made it easy for you. Gave you some ranges. What level will VIX close at for this coming year? Will we be very elevated? So north of 25. Will we be in the elevated range? So we made them wider this time. We made them 20 to 24.99. So we're giving you about 5 points in each range, roughly. Frothy, so the 15 to 19.99 level. And then the quiet range, which is below 15. You have till the end of the week to get out there at options, make your voice heard. Last week, we asked you to wind up the year. 2020 was a record year, 7.5 billion contracts. 2021 was threatening 10 billion. We'll get the official total probably right after showtime when OCC emails us sends us all the updated numbers, the official numbers for the year. But we asked you guys, is 2022, can it possibly threaten that, or will it be kind of a bit of a whimper? And overwhelmingly, nearly 57% of you said yes, it's going to be another record year. Only 37.3% of you saying no, the party is over, and about 6% saying you can't answer, you're too busy buying GameStop calls out there. So intriguing stuff afoot. Let's go around the horn now. Let's go back out to Volman before he passes out from about 17 with COVID. Mr. Volman, what are you keeping an eye on this interesting start to the trading year, sir?
Well, I'm doing two things, actually. So one is look at this, look at EV stocks today and look at oil stocks today. So I actually like both and own both, but both are going up, which you would find counterintuitive, to be honest. Or maybe not. The price of oil is going up, so EV is going to become more popular. You think about it that way. But I think that will be a trend for this year, that a lot of energy producing companies are how should we say unloved, and I do think the virus will hopefully recede in importance as people just get used to it, and especially with this new milder version, unless that changes, of course, then it's going to be a total shit show, of course. Oops, sorry, you got to delete that. Mess. So I think, but EV is definitely a trend. It's not going to go away. So that, from a trend point of view, I think will be quite strong. And I think paradoxically, good old fashioned energy will be strong as global growth starts to and consumption sort of gets back to normal, because it's still going to take a while for EV to kind of take over the world. As much as you want maybe other things to happen. I mean, look at Europe right now. They need natural gas. There's nothing it's not like you're going to build stuff in a week, right, to satisfy that. So I think you'll see new highs for oil this year. I don't disagree with Mike. I think you'll see great growth in EV as some of these other companies that make electric cars, kind of ride Tesla's coattails a bit. So I think those are two huge trends for this year. And I do think we will see a 12 VIX this year as well. So those are my predictions for 2022 so far.
I like it. I think we're going to have some official prediction shows later on in the week. Maybe our Thursday show will be our looking ahead for the year. I know TOSAW's already called 13,000 in Bitcoin, so he's not waiting for his predictions. He's getting in there already. Speaking of getting in there, Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what are you getting in there to watch until we gather here together on Thursday's show, sir?
Well, I'm definitely watching the market and watching the line in the sand like I just talked about. But the other thing that I'm watching with an even closer eye is just the sell-off in the 10-year note, just seeing if where it's going to lead to and what I need to do with it. I'm very thankful I sold I sold slightly in the money calls last week on it, so I'm pretty happy about that part, but need to know if I need to sell more of them. So watching that pretty closely right now.
All right, everybody. That music means we have to bring this first episode of a brand new trading year to a close. But don't worry. If you need more in your ear holes, we got you covered. We'll be back in exactly an hour here on the old network with our first crypto rundown for the new year. Who better than our old friend, Mr. Bill, a.k.a. Bill Ulibarri from Senecal Capital Management, to join us to kick off this new year. Look back a little bit on 2021. There were some crazy levels there to talk about there. I'm sure he has some thoughts on that, as well as everything that's popping off out there right now. So stay tuned for that. If you're listening live, they'll be coming at you in exactly an hour. We'll pump some fun stuff in there for you in between. If you're joining us after the fact, like many of you are, just hit next. It'll be waiting there for you. And if they go over to, let's say, the land of the pit, Mr. Rock Lobster, what will be waiting there for them, sir?
Yeah, come on over. Memberships, we have great products. You want to see how to trade options, see how they work, and also we have advanced products if you want to try to do this full time. All kinds of ways to learn how to have more reliable ways to trade. Going over to optionbit.com memberships, and we are doing a extravaganza, all-day trading extravaganza for free. So if you're listening to this show and you want to go check it out, I believe it is, next Thursday. I'm pretty sure, 100% sure. I'm almost sure. But call Ted at Trade 888-TRADE-01, and he will put you on the list only if you've heard this show, because it's exclusive just to people inside of Option Pit. But if you're listening to the show, you're kind of with us anyway. So, and you're interested in it, all day extravaganza. You can pop in, pop out when you want. Just at Ted, tell Ted that I sent you from the option block, and he will put you on the list. Just because you're listening to Longo's show. So, which I guess it's our show, but it's really his show because it's his network. He's the benevolent dictator. There we go.
And after all, the actual lord of options out there. It is official. The certificate is coming any minute now from the Highlands of Scotland. So I don't know where you're presuming this ownership of my programming. That's a conversation for another day for our lawyers to discuss off the air. In the meantime, you can check them out on the air at some points over there at Option Pit is the place to go, listeners. And Uncle Mike, he's got to go on out to get some skiing in before he goes. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, if folks want to check out the fastest rising star on YouTube and Twitter, where should they go? What should they do?
Follow me on Twitter at Mike TOSAW, TOSAW. You can check me out on my website, stcharleswealth.com. And then keep posted to YouTube at the St. Charles Wealth Management channel. I'm going to be putting out approximately one new video per week on basic option trading strategies. So if you're looking for a financial advisor who's not afraid of the option product, feel free to reach out to me.
All right, everybody. Reach out to him at St. Charles Wealth to begin your journey. You can find all of his various outlets over there. I think we'll do our darndest to surface Uncle Mike's content for you here in the new year as well, especially for all you folks who like yourselves a little bit of the old YouTube's content. I know you're out there. A lot of you like to listen to our stuff on YouTube. Maybe we'll give you something to watch over there in the new year as well. And, of course, if you want something more to listen to, stay tuned again. A little less than an hour now for the Crypto Rundown. Back again tomorrow, all you in the Secret Club. We can join us for our first appearance out there by Carly Garner in the hot seats. She's written a bunch of books on commodity options trading, and she's been on TWIFO once before. I think she'll be a great one to answer a lot of your questions about futures options, how to trade them, high probability futures options trading, all kinds of cool stuff. So get in for that one. That's going to be a fun one tomorrow. Also, we'll announce the winner of our December Pro Trading Crate tomorrow during the live Pro Q&A, so stay tuned for that out there. And back again Wednesday, Options Bootcamp, Options Playbook Radio, and then back again for this show on Thursday for episode 2 of the new year of the Option Block. We'll see you then.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.